episode 60 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria, and you can find me on Ravelry as M. Monska and on Instagram as Stitched in Sweden. I just recorded this video, all 49 minutes of it, and realized that my clip-on microphone had been making a horrible noise the entire time. So none of it was salvageable, so I'm going to give it a second shot now. And to start out with, I will give you a little update on what I've been knitting. There are really just two projects that I've been working on since the last time I recorded a few months ago. And that's mostly because I haven't been feeling that into knitting lately, which I think is mostly due to lack of time to devote to knitting, but also just being busy and interested in other things at the moment. But I have been working on a couple of projects, so I thought I could share with you those today. The first one is the aspen cardigan. Actually, it's a robe pattern, and this is a pattern by Michelle Wong. It is a knee-length robe, which I have decided to shorten to a cardigan length. I'm knitting it in Quince & Company Chickadee in the Boreal color, and this is a beautiful foresty green color, which I just have really been liking lately. And it's a bit hard to see. That's just how it is with my light today. So I have knit only this first sleeve the first part of the first sleeve on this cardigan, and I decided to start with the sleeves because that's usually my least favorite part, and when I save it to the end, the sweaters often go unfinished for a really long time. So the only changes I've made so far is that I started with a tubular cast on, and I just knit this much for the ribbed cuff. In the pattern she has the ribbing part cuffed over like that, so she actually knits the ribbing for about twice as long, but I just wanted a single cuff, so I only knit for this long and then started on the main pattern with cables. So another thing that I did differently is for my needle size, I've actually been gradually increasing the needle size since the cuff. For the ribbing part, I started on a really small needle. I think it was about a US size 3, or maybe even a 2. And then I did the first repeat in the next size up, and I did the next repeat in the next size up, and now I'm on my final needle size, which is a US size 8 or 5mm needle. And I wouldn't normally do that, but I think it works for this project because I swatched and cast on with the much smaller needle for the cables, and it really, in the swatch it felt fine, but it just felt too tight while I was knitting it, so that it was going to be uncomfortable to continue to knit the whole sweater that way, and I figured that I would just go up one needle size and see if that made it a little better, and it did, but I thought I could even go up another needle size to make the knitting easier, just because it's at a little bit of a looser gauge, and I just like the look of it. So I decided not to rip out and start over, mostly because I had already knit a lot of the complicated cables and I didn't feel like redoing them, but actually also because for me, I prefer my sweater to be fitted at the sleeve, and I don't like it when the ribbing at the cuff is a lot tighter than the main part of the sleeve, so that then the sleeve poofs out. I don't like that look. So for me it's fine to have this part more narrow and gradually getting up, not only with the increases of the sweater, but also because the needle got a little bit bigger. I'm not worried about the overall size of the sweater being too big because of the gauge change. when I swatched for it, I am using a sport weight yarn, and this pattern suggests Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, which is a worsted weight. But comparing my needle size and the gauge that I was getting with the pattern, I decided to knit the size 41 1/4 inch bust. If I knit that size with the needles that I was using at the smallest needle size, it would come out to be 37 1/4, which would give me about 3 1/4 inches of positive ease. And the pattern suggests 3 to 5 inches of positive ease, and actually in the sample picture, the model is wearing the size 41 1/4 with 7 1/4 inches of positive ease. And I like how it looks on her, so I figure I can have some more ease in this cardigan, and it's not going to be a problem. So we will see when I get to the main part of the body. I probably will have to rework the numbers a little bit anyway. But yeah, I really like how the cabling is turning out right now. I think it is just, it's a fun project to work on, but sometimes I don't always have the mind power, brain space to work on that project. So I also cast on the Compass shawl, which is a pattern by Very Shannon, and this is just an oversized cozy shawl pattern that has, it's actually a 2-color shawl. So you can see here there's like a lighter stripe and a lighter stripe here. I know it's in black and white, but I'll show you where I am so far with it. I have knit the first color part and then the stripe, and I'm partway through the second color part before I get to the border, which will be again in this sort of oatmeal color. So here it is, and I can't pull it all the way out because I'm in the middle of a row, but that's fine. So this is just a really nice and squishy textured shawl that I think is going to be really nice to wear when it's finished. I'm going for quite an oversized shawl that I can wear. I'll probably mostly wear it inside, honestly, like while I'm sitting on the couch or something, but I could also wear it out, I think. This is knit in Gelée from Rerum Natura, and this is a 100% merino yarn from French and Portuguese merino. And the pink color that I have is called Quartz. It's a really just pretty, kind of, yeah, I would say blush pink color. And what's interesting about this yarn, not all of the yarns from Rerum Natura are like this, not all of their colors, but some of them have this more heathered look. So I think the wool that this color was dyed on was a combination of a white or creamy wool plus some darker colors in it, which gives it this kind of heathered look. The lighter color that I'm using in the middle of the shawl and for the border is this one, and I'm actually not sure what this one's called, but I think I have a tag. This one is Pauvre Blanc, which I think is salt, pepper? I don't remember French, sorry. So I'm using this as my second color, and yeah, this yarn is really nice to work with. It feels a little bit kind of spongy almost. I would say it's somewhat similar to Brooklyn Tweed's yarns, but it is a bit softer because it's merino. But like Brooklyn Tweed, it has kind of the rustic woolen spun characteristics of it. But it's, I think, more plied. I think there are more plies in it than in Brooklyn Tweed, but I'm not sure. Looks like there's 3 plies. So that's been enjoyable to work on. I usually knit on that when I'm watching a movie or something with Thomas because I don't have to stop and look at the pattern now when I've kind of gotten the pattern in my head, and it's quite an easy pattern to look at your knitting and see where you are in the pattern, but also just to remember, because it's basically just made up of knit and purls in a certain sequence. So that makes it a lot, just an easy knit to work on, and that's part of the reason I cast it on, because when I was only working on this sweater, I was finding that I would actually just not be working on any knitting because that was the only project I had really actively going on my needles, and it was too complicated to work on while I was watching a movie with Thomas or something, so that I didn't work on it because I didn't want to have to keep stopping the movie all the time and being like, I need to check my chart. So I opted to cast on that shawl, which has been just a relaxing and simple, enjoyable knit to work on. And it's also on quite large needles because it is a worsted weight yarn, and I'm not used to working on, first knitting a shawl in a worsted weight is not very common thing for me, but just knitting on larger needles in general is not something I typically do. I think this is a US 8? No, US 7 4.5 millimeters, so quite big for me especially, I would say. Okay, so I'm trying to remember what I said before. Okay, yes. So I have done a little bit of sewing. I made some bras since the last time that I podcasted, and I also finished a huge sewing project, which I'm so happy with. You may know that I was working on a quilt project, which I shared quite a while ago, and this project has been almost finished for so long, and I finally finished it, and I'm so pleased with it. So I'm gonna go get it because it was over here before when I podcasted, but I already put it back on the bed, so I'll be right back. So here is the quilt in all of its hugeness, and yay! Can you see it? This is, I think it's called an Irish chain quilt, and it's just a kind of tutorial or pattern that I found on YouTube, and I used some kind of white and just plain white, but then also white with like some small details in the fabric for the main background part, and then I used the Rifle Paper Co. Les Fleurs line from Cotton and Steel, which was their first fabric production. Now they've come out actually with a second line that has an Alice in Wonderland theme to it, which I haven't seen it in person yet, but I saw it on Instagram. So yeah, I just love Rifle Paper Co. in general. I like their designs a lot. So I was really thrilled to be able to use their fabric in this really huge quilt. It's the biggest quilt I've ever made, and it's the first quilt that I've actually made for myself. I have 2 lap quilts that I've made, which I gave to my parents, and they have at their house, and I also made kind of a small-ish bed quilt, also more of a lap quilt, for one of my friends, and I hadn't made one for myself, so I decided to go ahead and make this one as a wedding quilt for Thomas and I, and I made the label, which is my first time doing embroidery. Actually, like, really my first time doing embroidery ever, I think, because I have done cross stitch in the past, but never, like, embroidery. So I looked up, like, some tutorials and stuff on YouTube, and Craftsy had a free sort of stitch guide sampler for just a couple of basic types of stitches, which I really found useful because I really didn't know anything about embroidery. So yeah, I think it turned out really well. I have some little French knots there, and I just think it looks nice. I'm happy with how it came out. And I decided to go ahead and embroider our wedding date on there, which will be September 17th this year. And I was thinking maybe not to do that at first because I thought maybe that's not good luck or something, but I don't really believe in that. And I really wanted to have this quilt finished, and that meant putting in the date and just finishing it off. So I did that, and we have been using it on our bed ever since. It just adds a really nice extra layer because it's winter again here and snowy. Yeah. And so this is a nice extra layer on top of our normal comforter that we have. But I had this almost finished for so long, and it was just sitting on my chair waiting to have the final quilting done on it because I couldn't decide if I wanted to do an overall, all over free motion quilt design with squiggles or something like that, or if I wanted to go with something more simple. And kind of with the design idea of this being like a pretty, I would say minimalist quilt in a way, with the white background part, and the whole back of it is also white, which is actually a sheet from IKEA. Fun fact. And so I decided to go just with these straight crisscrossing lines that you can see of quilting. And I think that it looks really nice. I haven't washed it yet, although I washed all the fabrics individually. I think there is still something with washing the quilt in the end that kind of brings everything together. But I haven't done that yet. So I will probably do that at some point, but no promises on when it will be. So that was a huge project, and once I had that finished was actually when I decided to cast on for the aspen cardigan and for the compass shawl, because I felt like with that finished I had a little bit more freedom or just mind space to be able to start a new project. Because I do have 2 sweaters on the needles right now, which I still have on the needles, but I kind of have set them aside because I was finding, especially at the end of January and beginning of February, that I was really just not excited about knitting. And I think because I had these 2 sweater projects on the needles, which weren't 100% going how I wanted them to, I was just kind of bummed out about them and not knitting because I wasn't enjoying it, and it was kind of sad. So I decided to give myself the permission to just set those aside, and I actually just put them in a bag in another room so that they're not in my main knitting area. And then I decided I could just cast on something new, and that's when I started the cardigan, and then about a week later I started the shawl because I realized that I do actually need 2 projects with sort of different level of concentration required. But finishing the quilt sort of made me feel like, okay, I can start some new projects, especially now when this huge project that has been really long-term is finished. So there was one other small project that I knit and finished and already gifted, but I'll just share the yarn. I have showed this once before, I think. I made a pair of socks for Thomas's niece for her 2-year-old birthday, and I made them in this Knit Picks Stroll, Knit Picks Felici in some color that I don't know. But it's the one that has this bright purple, and then there's a hot pink, a medium pink, a light pink, and then a really light teal or mint color. And I did the heel and toe in this bright turquoise, which is a Yaku, it's called Yaku 416, and it's a Danish yarn that I just have some leftovers of, and I use it for heels and toes sometimes. So those were pretty cute, and I think she liked them. I did a 2x2 rib for about this much of the leg, and then the foot is about this long, which also has 2x2 rib on the top of the foot. And I think that they are too big for her now, I'm guessing. She didn't try them on because she had tights on, and they were kind of like baggy on the feet, and she couldn't really deal with having a sock over that, which I can understand. So I guess that they're a little bit too big for her, but kids grow, so I think that they will be good. And I knit those probably, I don't know, in 4 hours or something. I knit them over the course of a week, and it was just a fun, easy project to sort of refresh my knitting mind, so that was good. I have one project that I've been thinking about knitting a lot lately, and that is kind of with the leftovers from this shawl in mind. I've been really obsessed with this bunny pattern from Julia Wilson, I think is her name. I'm just going to pull it up here real quick. I saw this pattern, actually I saw this project on the Ravelry homepage, and it's not the original project pattern, but it's a project that somebody made from the pattern by Julia Wilson. And this is by Bunny Knitter. Fitting, because it's a bunny. This is it, and is that just the cutest thing you've ever seen? So I've been really wanting to make this bunny because I just think it's so adorable, and I was thinking that with the leftover yarn, if there is some from this project, this oatmeal color would make a really cute bunny, and also this pink color would make a cute bunny, and they would make a nice little pair for 2 little kids that I know. And I thought that would be a fun project to do around this time for Easter. We'll see if I actually do it or get it done, but I was also thinking of the Leaf on the Wind from Hey Sister Yarn Co. This is the Snuggle Worsted, and it's a 100% superwash merino. This is just a beautiful cream color with some nice kind of speckles of caramely brown, green, and blue in there, and I thought that that sort of would give a little bit of a tweed look like that bunny in the picture. So I might use this, but I don't know. Maybe I'll make this one for me. We'll see. But if I make a little matching set of bunnies, then one of them will definitely have this sweet little dress. This is a little mouse, which also is adorable. I just really love the colors in this picture. So this mouse pattern is also by Julia Williams, and the clothing is by her too. She has lots of little mouse outfits and bunny outfits, and they're just the sweetest. So I thought it would be fun to have one of them with a little dress and maybe a cardigan, and then the other one with a little sweater and some pants or shorts and maybe a little scarf. So we'll have to see about that, but it might happen. So other than that, that is pretty much what I've been knitting for now and in the past couple of weeks. I have some upcoming sewing projects. If you're interested, I have been searching for the perfect fabric because I have sort of gotten it in my head now that I would like to sew the ties for the groom and for the groomsmen for our wedding. So I've been requesting samples of fabrics and trying out different fabrics. These are going to be hard to see, but these are really light pink colored silk and I've just been getting little fabric samples in the mail, and I picked up a couple at our local fabric shop. But the one fabric shop which I really thought would probably have something nice, which is actually in a department store, is closed. So that was really sad. Here is a nice little silk one, and then today in the mail I actually got 2 more samples from my mom that she picked up at the local fabric store in Boulder, so I think one of those actually might work the best. But part of it depends on what I end up going for the bridesmaids' dresses, so that hasn't totally been decided yet. But I think that making ties will be pretty easy and fun, and perhaps more cost efficient. So yeah, that's the plan. And I've gotten a lot of help from Michelle at the English Couture Company, which is an online fabric shop in the UK, and I have asked her for some tips on the interfacing for the ties, and she gave me some suggestions, and she sent me these 2, which are not quite the right color, so I asked her, if she had something which was a little bit more blush pink, and she said yes, she would be happy to send me samples, so really excited about that. She also sent me a little sample of lace edging, which I'm using, well, I asked her to send it to me, but I'm going to use this for something else, which is a little bit of a secret wedding project. It's not underwear, just to put that out there. Anyway, yeah. So ties will happen at some point, probably, if I can find the right color fabric. If not, I did find a tie that is the right color at a store, so I could just buy those ties, but I thought it would be fun and a nice little extra touch to give the groomsmen and groom a handmade tie for the wedding. So that's the plan for now. I'm not knitting the ties though. I did place an order at Fabworks, which is another online fabric store from the UK. I think they also have a brick and mortar shop, but I'm not sure. And I'm very happy with my order, and I will definitely purchase from them again. This is for kind of a secret project related to the wedding, but I'll just show the fabric that I bought. This will go with this. So the first one, which I really like, is this pretty jersey, which is a floral on kind of a cream background, and there's like teals and turquoises and pinks, corally colors. So that one is really nice, and I got 1 meter of that. And their fabrics are really inexpensive too. I find that it's quite difficult to find nice jersey that's not too expensive in Europe, in an online shop. But their prices were really reasonable, so that was nice. This is a jersey crepe that I got, and it has kind of an interesting crepe texture, and it's really drapey and has this nice large iris print. Now it's upside down, but this side is better. And I got 2 meters of this one. And the first 2, these floral ones, I actually will only use one of them for this project probably, but I couldn't decide exactly. I wasn't sure which one was going to be the right one for the project, so I decided to get both of them because I like both of them and I'll use them both eventually, but just won't know for sure which the one for this project will be. I also got 4 colors of just a plain lightweight jersey. One of them is this bluish gray, I would say, light color. This is more of a minty color. Then we have a blush pink and a lilac. So these are for my secret project. And where am I gonna put those? Ah. And then I also just got some black, which is not for the wedding and will be for underwear. So that is what I got for sewing fabrics. I hope that I can find the perfect color. The more that I look at it, I think it's this one. Looks really pale on the screen, but yeah. I think it will be nice. We'll have to see. I'm trying to remember if I said anything else in the other episode. I think that's about it. I am working on my thesis currently, and just to give you like a little life update, working on my thesis and working at my job quite a bit, which is taking up most of my time, so that's just part of the reason that there's not a whole lot of knitting time, but also why I haven't been posting on Instagram that much, because it's dark when I get home and it's starting to get lighter, so that's really nice. So maybe some more pictures will be popping up soon, but it is what it is, and I hope that once my thesis is finished, when I submit it, I'll have a bit more time to do some more sewing and things like that. The ties and this other project probably won't be started for a little while, so I think maybe when I'm finished with my thesis I'll be able to do things like that, but we will see. So I think that's about it, and I guess that's all I have to say. So until next time, happy knitting, and see you then. Bye!